Hey, this is Hank with Rattlesnake Cables. I know there are a lot of videos about cable wrapping, and what we wanted to do was the most comprehensive cable wrapping video. A lot of talk about cable wrapping, doing it right versus wrong, but I also wanted to talk about what it means to do it wrong and how to identify that you are doing it wrong and how to do it right. Here at Rattlesnake, we wrap cables all day and every day. It's the Roadie Wrap, it's the over-under, they're both the same thing. Every single person that works here, their first thing that they learn is how to wrap that cable. It's always awkward, it takes a little time to just get natural with it, but over time it becomes second nature and it's like the easiest thing to do. You end up like wrapping twine and rope and anything in an over-under technique after it's become a habit. First, let's break down what happens when you wrap cables incorrectly. So I'm gonna do this the Roadie Wrap style first. And I know I'm just doing this real quick, I'm not explaining this, but we're gonna really just show the problem and the benefit side first. So I just wrap this the proper way, and I grab the two ends and I'm gonna open it up, and notice it just opens up. So now we're gonna wrap this in the way of how typically people would do it. They're just gonna follow the coil aspect of the cable, and I'm just going to do all overs, no over under. Now if I pull it, you get a series of loops. Okay, so let's do a real world example. Here's my pedal board, no judgment please. I'm going to plug this in. This is wrapped incorrectly. This is all overs. So if I plug this into my pedal board and I want to run this to my amp, and I'm going to pull on it, you'll start seeing all of these loops that are in here. So now I undid this, but I still have these loops. So for me to fix this, I have to basically unravel it. This is another problem when you don't do over-under on it. So now we're gonna do the same thing, but with the over-under technique. So I'll plug this in, grab the other end, and when I'm pulling it, it's just all gonna pop. These little loops. Now you got a nice straight cable. I don't have any of those coils like locking up as we did on the incorrect way. So I wrapped this incorrectly again, and I kind of wanted to illustrate a major issue about a cable over time. So when we plug this back in with the over wrap, everything's done wrong. You get these series of coils, these loops, these guys. Now that's an instant problem, and you can undo this. But over time, these coils will be put in the cable memory and it'll actually twist inside. And that's what happens when you have like an extension cord that's, when you wrap it around your arm over time in your garage and it's super twisted, that's causing the cable inside to twist. Now I'm not talking about inside the weave, the actual copper in the cable is gonna start twisting on these loops. So even though it's a problem, this is a good cable and it's doing it now and I can fix it. Over time, as you put it in your guitar case, you're ruining your cable. So I wanted to really break down what's happening in an over-under technique. We understand that when we wrap it over and over and over, we get as basically a spring, we get a series of coils. But over-under, let's break down what's happening in the cable. So I have the same cable plugged into my same pedal board, and this is an over-under technique. And as you can see, the loops are opposing each other. And that's what's happening with like over, under. So when they do expand, it just starts popping apart instead of coiling up. All right, so we're gonna actually do the Roadie Wrap, and I'm gonna break down the movements. What I always like to do is get a cable and just get any weird loops out of it. Just get it to be relaxed first. Now the cable has its own memory. It's been on a spool. It's gonna be like this. It's always gonna be round at some point. And it's always good to just give in with that memory. Don't fight it. So the first move, everyone gets the first move, and this is the over. And why it's over is you start with this cable and this is going over it. Now the one that gets everyone is the under. So the move is to just run your hand down, and this motion right here is the weird motion. and you're gonna go under it. So you make this loop. So I'm gonna stretch it, twist it, and I can grab it, and you know you're under when this is under this cable. So I'm gonna stretch it again. Now I'm gonna go over, and you know, I'm using my fingers to turn. Now that's gonna go over, stretch it down, the weird movement, under. And there's all sorts of ways you can do that. You just need to make sure that this cable is under this. And at first, it feels super awkward. Over, and then under. So now my loops aren't that clean. I wouldn't be happy with that. So you can measure just by the length of it, matching the loops. So that's under. I'm adjusting my loop. It's over, so it's over these. Do my little twist. Under. Over. Under. Now my loops are in the same, and I can get the center point here, put a Velcro on at this point. And we're gonna do a different view. It's weird when you're looking at from YouTube or whatever your screen you're at from my front. So we're gonna do a POV shot. So like from basically what my eyes are looking at, so you can actually match my movements. All right, we're gonna do the over-under Roadie Wrap again, but from a different camera angle. You see more what I'm seeing. I think this is gonna be the most helpful for you because now you're seeing a mirrored image. So I'm gonna, in my left hand, and put that end in there. And this is going to go over it. So my first move is gonna be an over, and we'll just keep a nice loop. And you can see that this cable is over. And anytime you're not sure if it should be an over or an under, you can just look where you're at on that loop. So right now I'm over, that means the next move needs to be an under. So I'm gonna go grab this and then twist. You'll get this move. Grab it here with your hand and you pull down, and now it's under this loop. Stretch it again, get the nice natural bend of the cable memory. Now you're gonna do an over, grab it, verify it's over. I'm gonna go do that twist again. Now it's under. I'm doing my over loop, again, this way. This move is the hard move for everyone when they're first learning it. And you don't have to do a fist. You can do it just with your thumb, like this, and you can just twist it like this and grab it, and then it's under. And you can make adjustments to your loop size just by grabbing this part. If this needs to be a longer loop or a shorter loop, you just dial it in to match the loops. Now I'm going to do my final over. Now you can grab this in the middle, put your Velcro on it, and then we can just grab these two ends, open it. Now it's just no twisties. All right, so this is like the second way we do Roadie Wrap or over under. This is kind of the rattlesnake way in our boxes that we ship out to customers, or how we add them to our dealer cables on our hang tags that you might purchase from. And that's what this line is. It's a marker to tell me how big my loop is. But some people like to have short loops on stage because you can put it in your guitar case easier, or you might want to go big loops for putting in a pedal board or whatnot. So this move here is, it's kind of an overhand. It's still over under, like how we're doing it before, but you're gonna flip it and then you pull it to match whatever length you want. And now you can see it's under. This one is under that. So my next move is gonna be an over. This one's over these. And now you're gonna pull, and then notice it's over my forearm. So now, as I was adjusting the cable, I'm not sure where I'm supposed to be here, but I can see that this cable is over these. So that means the next one needs to be an under. And that's where you can always find where you're at in your loops. Over, under, and I'll do that move again. Into the hook, pull it, and then all I'm doing is pulling is adjusting my loop length. Just going with the natural bend of the cable. That's an under, then over, and then you can just adjust it. you're gonna grab an over and you're flipping it, now it's an under, and you pull it till it matches your mark that you want. Now I'm gonna do an over. You can see I'm over this, or you can even look at it sideways. Stretch it, and now I'm gonna do the under. And everything about it is pulling and pulling the loops, and I'm using my thumb as a hook. So I'm over. This is that under. And you also notice it's hitting my forearm is telling me it's under. So when I do an over, there's nothing hitting my arm. Now that one's hitting my arm. That under again. Over. Now this is the part where you can get it to be adjustable by just pulling your plugs and just letting the cable move. And that's when you get a dealer cable, that's what it looks like. And you can just, same thing, all just unwinds. Okay, so once you do over under, it's important to think of cables as a stack. So I like to have one plug on one end, the other on the other end. And that way when you lay it down on the ground, this is the top one, and this is the bottom one. Now, if you've been doing over under, but they come out in knots, that actually means you're doing over under correctly, but it means you're grabbing the wrong one. So one simple thing to avoid, or to prove you're doing it right, is do the stack. So I got one here and one here. You put it on the ground. So this is the top, but now I'm gonna grab this bottom one through the loop. If I do this quickly, you'll get loop knots like this. So that's one of those things you don't want to do, is grab the wrong one. But if you're getting knots like that, that means you're doing the over under properly. You just grab, you're running it through like a slip knot. So if you're doing over under, and you're doing kind of making a stack, throw it on the ground, and I know this is the top, and this is how I would do it. I would even get the top and like stretch that out farther. You can just always grab that and you're good to go going this way. You won't turn into knots. So let's just say you've been wrapping cables wrong for years and you have a bunch of cables that are kinked up and really twisted. It doesn't mean you have to throw them away. You can rehabilitate them and maybe, if you're lucky, get it back to the way it was. And if I had a cable like that, I have extension cords that are like that. And what I do is you make long over-unders. And what we're gonna do here is we're gonna try to get the cable to relax over time. So long, could even be longer than that. Get a Velcro on there and hang that up. And over time, this gravity is gonna do this. And then every time you wrap it up, you'll wanna just make sure you do over under. And eventually you'll actually get that cable to recover and come back. I'm doing that with extension cords now that I've had for 20, 25 years. They're totally jacked up, that I'm doing long loops, it's relaxing, and I'm just doing over under on those extension cords. That applies to everything like that. Ropes, hoses, you can do all of that. So yeah, long loops, again, just gonna do big stretch, over, big stretch, under, over, there you go. So I have an XLR here. This is a 30-footer. And this is another reason why you want to do over under, especially if you're doing live sound, you're in a venue, and you need to start stretching cable around. The idea is with over under technique, you can throw it. There won't be any loops, there won't be any knots. Be all stretched out. You can do this with a 100-footer, just as long as you grab that top one and you send it down the line. As you can see, we went deep into how to wrap a cable. We wanted to break down what happens when you wrap a cable incorrectly and show you the benefits of wrapping it properly. In the end, your cable will thank you, your bandmates will thank you, your sound engineers will thank you. So I hope you enjoyed it.